What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome back to another episode of Through the Mail Thursdays. A few weeks back, I did a Pirates only video. So this week, I'm going to attempt to do a Boston Red Sox only video. And I have gotten 4 returns back here that all have, 3 of them have Massachusetts returns and one's a Virginia return. And I think I know who the Virginia one is, but I'm not positive, and I'll probably save that one for last because this gentleman was only a Boston Red Sox for a very short period of time. He's more well known throughout his career in other positions, or other teams I should say. So to get started, we're going to open up this first one, and we are going to try not to rip whatever I got going on here. And these are some vintage and some Topps archives, and those are from Mr. Ted Lepcio, former Boston Red Sox shortstop, and he signed 4 of 4 on 1 1953 Topps archive and 3 1954 Topps archives, including 1 gold version of that card. Now, Mr. Lepcio played for a little while. I want to say I think he might have also played for the Tigers before his career was up. But Mr. Lepcio, there's not too many people that are still around, that are still alive in this 1954-1953 archive set. So there's probably, I would say, a handful, maybe of 20 to 30 people that are still actively alive that are out of this set. To put it in perspective, it was a very, very long time ago that these guys played. I mean, you're 1954 and 3. Wow. I mean, that's a long time ago. So, very happy to add Mr. Lepcio to the collection. You know, again, this is probably all going to be Boston Red Sox in this video. So let's see who the next one is that we got. Alright, the second one is also postmarked from Boston. So we'll open that up here on screen. I'll do my best not to knock the camera around there. And that is, yes, Mr. Bob Montgomery. And Mr. Montgomery signed, looks like 4 cards. And the 4th one here is Topps Obak, which is not, I hope I'm saying Obak, or Obak. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Mr. Montgomery is famous for one thing, and that's what this Obak card represents, is many people aren't aware of this, but Mr. Montgomery was the first player ever to wear a batting helmet in a game. So he has that unique designation. He was a catcher for quite a while. I want to say about 10 years plus. Look on the back of his card here. Yeah, he came up with the 70 Red Sox, and this is an 80 Topps, so there's at least 9 years there. I'm not sure where he retired after that, but he spent at least almost 10 years in Boston as a catcher. Obviously, they had Carlton Fisk, you know, as their main catcher at the time, so Mr. Montgomery was more or less the backup catcher. But he is unique in the fact that he is the first to wear a batting helmet, which I thought was just an awesome, neat little trivia question about him. So, to give you a heads up, that might be a future trivia question that comes out of my trivia section of this channel. So thank you, Mr. Montgomery, for signing those 4 cards. Definitely a great addition to the collection. Let's see this next envelope. Yep. Okay, this next envelope is also from the East Coast, the Boston area. So I think this is another Red Sox. Again, if it's not, I guess I'll edit the video out and add a different one that I think might be there. But yeah, another Red Sox, great. And this is Mr. Chuck Schilling, He is a middle infielder. He played second base mainly. I think he played a little shortstop, but I'm not sure on that. And these are 4 of 4. Looks like a 62 Topps rookie card, couple of those. Is that a 63? Yeah, 63 Topps and a 66 Topps. So Mr. Schilling signed 4 of 4. He signed him in, looks like ballpoint pen, not my favorite, but it looks like the top two there turned out pretty darn good, in my opinion at least. This one not so great, but it is what it is. I'm happy to have these autographs in my collection. He's an era ball player that you don't see too many returns from guys in the 60s anymore. That's a short list, and the 1950s guys are an even shorter list. So very happy to add these excellent Boston Red Sox autographs to the collection. I had these laying around for a little while. I happened to come across a couple rookies of his at a card show not too long ago. Had these two for quite some time in my collection, and paid, I want to say, 50 cents each on those top rookies there, those 62 rookies. And after I got them for that, I thought better get those in the mail and get them out to Mr. Schilling and get them in the collection. So very happy to add those to the collection. So thank you very much, Mr. Schilling. And I guess I'm going to step out on a limb here, but he's the original Schilling that was a Boston Red Sox, not the famous Kurt Schilling. Alright, so this last one is one that I think I know what it is. I sent this out before I was doing my Through the Mail Thursday videos. I want to say over 6 months to a year ago. This is a player that is not well known as a Boston Red Sox. He was the premier closer in the game at one time during his career, and I want to say he finished up with the Red Sox. Maybe he played somewhere after that, but if I'm right, this should have a Boston Red Sox signed jersey, and it is. And that is, let me pull him out of the sleeve here, Mr. Billy Wagner. And if you guys watched one of my earlier videos, I shared that Billy Wagner was the first really big draft pick, minor leaguer, whatever you want to say, autograph that I ever got. He was very cordial in person when I saw him. This was an A ball. I was a 13, 14-year-old kid when I first met Mr. Wagner. And I had always been a fan of his ever since, because he took the time to sign the 5 or 6 cards that I had of him. They were his rookie card that I showed in my top 5 minor league baseball autographs video. I shared with you in that video that I no longer have those cards because there was actually a burglary of my parents' home a little bit later when I was in high school, and all of my autographs were stolen, including those Billy Wagners. So after watching his career for so long and following him, for many, many years until his retirement, I've always put together, finding cards of him here or there. And I was at a card show earlier last year, and I came across this jersey card of his, Clubhouse Collection, Topps Heritage. Looks like it got a little crease when I got mailed back, but whatever, don't care. Yeah, that crease I don't think was there when I mailed it, but that happens sometimes. But I was surprised to see a Boston Red Sox jersey card of him, because many of you know he is more known as being the Astros closer than later the New York Mets closer. And I don't know if he ended his career with the Red Sox, but this might be his final year that he played. What year is this card? Looks like a 2010. So I mean, he's only been retired for 8 years now, if this is the last year that he played. But Billy Wagner, one of the greatest closers ever ever to play in the game. He totaled 20 or more saves 11 times in his career. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And he was a left-hander too, and he threw about 100 miles per hour. That's not the top, by any means. Aroldis Chapman throws a lot harder than that now, but if you ever seen Billy Wagner in person, I only remember this from my childhood, but he wasn't a big guy. I mean, he was a small, scrappy, hard thrower. I mean, he was only 5'11". And to think that a guy that was 5'11" could throw that hard is just proves that natural talent is there. I want to say that I read on the back of one of his cards, or I read an article about him, that when he was a child, he actually broke his right arm, so he wasn't able to throw with that right arm anymore, and that's how he developed his left-handed throwing style, was because he had his arm in a cast for so long that he decided to start throwing left-handed, and that's what basically helped him develop into the pitcher that he was. So, in closing, Mr. Wagner, thank you very much. You are one of my favorite players ever. I think you should be a Hall of Famer. Hopefully, those writers and sports writers will someday acknowledge, where you're at. On the all-time saves list. The fact that you played for a couple teams that were, smaller markets. I know that the Mets aren't a smaller market, but the Astros definitely are. They obviously didn't win any championships while Wagner was there. The Red Sox obviously are a larger market, but he was, towards the end of his career by that point, and he played for the Phillies as well. I do not believe he was on the Phillies team that won the World Series. I may be wrong. I'll check that and correct myself in the video if that is the case. But thank you very much for the autographs, and thanks for watching another episode, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the future.